is the most populous nation in the world with nearly 1.5 billion people, and this number is expected to grow to 1.7 billion in the next 40 years before it starts falling. We can just keep this on our screens as we speak to our guests. Sharad, let me bring you in on this point from an economics point of view. When we talk about being the most populous country in the world, what does that mean? What are the pros and the cons that the government now needs to keep in mind when developing policies for us over the next 4 decades?
Good afternoon or good evening, Devika. Good evening to my fellow panelists and NewsX viewers. I think we need to keep in mind a few factors. One of the factors is that the women's participation in the total labor force, they are 50% of our population, almost 50%, if not 50%. The women participation is low, it's about 25, 30%, maybe 30, some statistics say 31 to 32%. So we need to increase women's participation, that's one. But when it comes to fertility rate, it is directly related to the literacy of the state, which is why you see Delhi and Kerala going low on fertility rate, whereas UP, Bihar, these areas where the literacy is still not as well spread as compared to other states, you find that it is higher there. So there is some kind of connection, which is a general economic and demographic principle that literacy has got a lot to do with family planning and how many children you want to have. You want to look at your economic status and then decide on the family. When you find that you'll not be able to bring up your children in a manner that they are able to make something out of their career, you would rather not give birth to them. So that, I think those are the principles on which family planning and population is based on. However, we've still got, first of all, I would like to point out here that we have not done a census for a very, very long time. So any estimate being made, if we say that fertility rate has dropped down to 1.9, well, another statistical survey could probably give a different result. But assuming this to be true, yes, it is a matter of concern. We saw China when China had launched one-child policy many years ago. It regretted later and it had to go back. Today, China is struggling with, look at what is happening to South Korea. Look at what is happening to Japan. They are struggling. A lot of countries in Europe, they are struggling. There isn't enough workforce in the country. So from an economic point of view, I think at least for some more years, we are fine. Although based on certain castes, I would not like to sound, racist here or naming a caste. But certain castes, you find that the fertility rate is very high. Whereas in certain other castes, it's low. So on an average, 1.9, yes, is alarming. We should technically be equivalent to the replacement rate. We've still got few years, probably another 40 years, we'll be hitting our peak, which is when it will start declining. But I'm sure before that, the government should start an education campaign on a very selective basis, especially in these states, not across the country, but in these states, some kind of awareness campaign should be launched, explaining the people about the consequences of what China, South Korea, or Japan has gone through. So people need to understand, along with being literate, they need to be literate enough to understand that what are the downsides of having a very, very small family or not producing children, then what will happen to the economy later on. So that is my opening statement, Devika.
Okay, bringing in Joyita Basu. Joyita, it's a simple principle of economics, also of nature. What goes up, goes down.